Chapter 11: The Courage to Doubt Yourself. There is a kind of psychological courage that receives far less admiration than confidence. The courage to doubt yourself. Not performative self-doubt. Not chronic insecurity. Not paralysis disguised as humility. Something quieter and rarer than that. The willingness to honestly entertain the possibility that one's perceptions, beliefs, interpretations, emotional reactions, or certainties may be incomplete, distorted, emotionally motivated, tribally reinforced, or simply wrong. This sounds easier than it actually is. Because beliefs are rarely just intellectual conclusions. They become intertwined with identity, belonging, memory, morality, emotional security, and meaning itself. To question a deeply held belief may therefore feel not merely intellectually uncomfortable, but psychologically destabilizing. The mind often experiences serious doubt as threat before it experiences it as growth. This is especially true when certainty has become emotionally functional. Certainty reduces anxiety. It simplifies complexity. It stabilizes identity. It strengthens tribe cohesion. It offers orientation in an ambiguous world. Human beings, therefore, tend to become attached not only to what they believe, but to the emotional relief provided by believing it with confidence. This is one reason people often defend certainty so aggressively, even when evidence becomes complicated. The defense is not always primarily about facts. It may be about preserving coherence, belonging, emotional equilibrium, or moral identity. The examined life asks something difficult of the psyche. Can you tolerate uncertainty without immediately collapsing back into comforting certainty? Many people cannot. Or more accurately, many people can only tolerate uncertainty within limited domains. Human beings may appear intellectually open-minded until questions approach emotionally protected areas. Tribe, identity, politics, religion, status, morality, belonging, worldview, self-image, or meaning. At that point, openness often narrows quickly. This narrowing is deeply human. The nervous system seeks stability. But without the capacity to question ourselves honestly, awareness eventually hardens into ideology again. Even ideologies of skepticism, rationality, independence, or self-awareness itself. A person can become dogmatic about anti-dogmatism. The mind is remarkably adaptive that way. This is why epistemic humility matters so profoundly. Epistemic humility does not mean abandoning conviction altogether. Human beings must still act, choose, commit, and orient themselves within life. Complete indecision is not wisdom. But epistemic humility recognizes something important. The map is never identical to the territory. Every worldview simplifies reality. Every framework reveals and conceals simultaneously. Every perception emerges through limitations of biology, culture, language, identity, emotion, memory, narrative, and social conditioning, including one's own. This realization changes the emotional posture of thought itself. The individual becomes less concerned with defending perfect certainty and more concerned with remaining honestly responsive to reality. Curiosity begins mattering more than ideological victory. Revision becomes less psychologically threatening. Questions become more tolerable. Complexity becomes less emotionally intolerable. Importantly, this shift does not usually happen all at once. Most people experience it unevenly. Moments of openness alternate with defensive contraction. Certain domains remain easier to question than others. A person may become highly reflective about politics while remaining emotionally blind inside intimate relationships. Another may question cultural narratives while remaining deeply attached to status-driven identity structures. Self-examination tends to unfold asymmetrically because different beliefs serve different emotional functions. This is one reason genuine humility often grows slowly. The more honestly people examine themselves, the more they notice how difficult unbiased perception actually is. They observe how quickly identity shapes interpretation, how emotionally rewarding certainty can feel, how seductive tribal validation becomes, and how easily the mind rationalizes emotionally preferred conclusions. At first, this realization can feel discouraging. If human beings are so conditioned, so emotionally shaped, so narratively filtered, can clear perception ever truly exist? Perhaps not perfectly, but perfection may be the wrong standard. The examined life is not about achieving flawless objectivity. It is about increasing awareness of subjectivity while continuing to seek understanding anyway. This is where humility and courage begin converging. Because genuine self-examination requires emotional resilience, a person must become capable of surviving the discomfort of uncertainty without immediately anesthetizing themselves with ideology, outrage, superiority, cynicism, tribal fusion, or simplistic narratives. They must learn how to remain psychologically intact while admitting, I may not fully understand this. Part of my certainty may be emotional. My tribe may be shaping my perception. My interpretation may contain blind spots. My emotional reaction may not equal truth. Some of what I call myself may be inherited conditioning. I may have defended narratives that comforted me more than they clarified reality. These admissions can feel destabilizing because they soften the ego's illusion of total self-certainty. And yet they also create freedom. A person no longer has to spend enormous psychological energy defending infallibility. The mind becomes more flexible, more adaptive, more capable of updating itself in response to reality rather than merely protecting existing identity structures. This flexibility matters enormously in a world increasingly organized around performative certainty. Modern social environments often reward confidence far more visibly than thoughtful uncertainty. Strong declarations spread more easily than nuanced reflection. Ambiguity performs poorly in emotionally charged environments. Public discourse increasingly pressures people toward rapid moral positioning rather than patient examination. Under these conditions, doubt can begin feeling socially dangerous. But there is another kind of danger too: the danger of becoming incapable of questioning oneself at all. That danger quietly closes the examined mind. Because once certainty becomes psychologically sacred, awareness stops evolving. The person may continue acquiring information while no longer genuinely examining the frameworks through which information itself is interpreted. In this sense, the courage to doubt yourself is not weakness. It is one of the deepest forms of psychological strength. Not because doubt is inherently virtuous, but because honest doubt creates the possibility of revision, growth, deeper perception, and increasing alignment with reality over time. Without it, the mind gradually becomes trapped inside its own defended narratives. With it, a person gains something far more valuable than certainty: the capacity to remain awake to the possibility that there is still more to see.